Networking and Marketing Made Simple is for you, the business owner who has a product, a service, or a message that you believe in. My name is Scott Aaron, and each week we'll take a behind-the-scenes look into the real-world marketing and networking tactics and strategies for getting what you have in front of you to a lot more people. Thanks for spending time with me, and now let's get started. So before we dive into today's podcast, I just want to let you know that I am grateful and honored again to have Spotify as my sponsor for this podcast episode and future episodes. And the big question that people always ask me is, how do you get started with a podcast? Well, what I want to tell you is that there's an all-in-one place that's absolutely free, and it's called Spotify for Podcasters. And here's how it works. And this is exactly how I got started with mine. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. I started with my phone, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating it right away. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple, everywhere your podcast can be heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. And when you want to take your conversations with your fans to the next level, like I like to, you can do Q&A, you can do polls, and that's the best way to get people talking. And with Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads like this, podcast subscriptions, and so much more. And best of all, it's totally free, no catch. And again, I have now eclipsed 500,000 listens on this podcast. So I want to thank each and every one of you. I could not recommend this anymore. And if you are listening to this and you are ready to start your podcast, start today. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started right away. And I cannot wait to listen to yours. Hey there, and welcome to another episode. This is a dual podcast episode for Entrepreneur Rescue Mission and Networking and Marketing Made Simple. So I am here with my lovely co-host, Nancy.
Hello, hello.
Who also happens to be my lovely wife as well. So as you can see from the description of today's audio and video podcast, if you happen to be watching this, we're going to be going over 4 ways to keep up with the ever-changing world of social media. This is, it seems like you could do a podcast on this episode every single week because it is ever-changing. But we wanted to, outside of going through all the changes to all the social media, with Threads and TikTok and everything else that people are doing, we wanted to kind of combine everything that's going on, dripping on some little things here and there, but give you 4 tangible things of what you can do to stay on top of it. So the first thing is staying informed and updated on the latest trends. So I'm going to turn it to Nancy in a second, but I'm going to tell you what I do to stay up to date. Well, number one, Nancy helps me stay up to date. She'll find something and she'll DM me or email me something. Oh, check this out. But there's a couple different blogs that I read. Number one is Social Media Examiner. Wonderful, wonderful blog. I'm actually attempting to actually start writing for them. So it's on the vision board. Hopefully it'll happen. It's just a wonderfully read blog, but it's categorized by social platforms. So if you want updates on LinkedIn, if you want updates on Facebook, Social Media Examiner is a great one. Also, Social Media Today is another great blog out there that you can get specific updates on. And Hootsuite has their own blog called Ad Espresso, which again breaks down the top. And I believe Social Media Today is a weekly blog, and Social Media Examiner and Ad Espresso tend to be either bi-weekly or monthly blogs. So they basically do a month-end recap. So one of the best ways to stay informed and up to date for me is reading what's going on with some of the top blogs about social media out there. Nance, what do you recommend?
Yeah. So I know, everyone who's listening, right? You guys are in all different industries, right? So it's kind of all over the place as far as where you can find this information. And, what Scott mentioned, those are some great resources if you guys really, do content around social media and marketing and so on and so forth. But some different tips that I have for you guys, well, in this particular one, is I recently, right, I realized, okay, everyone's heads are spinning with the amount of knowledge and the amount of updates and the amount of tech, and obviously all the software and new platforms and so on and so forth. So, as much as we can kind of choose, right? So, Scott mentioned, choosing just a few, right, and keeping your pulse on them and having a routine around checking them routinely. I cannot agree with that more, right? So you want to find a few different ones that work for you. You don't want to go down the rabbit hole and obviously, have like tons of them, because then again, you're overwhelming yourself with information. But I would pick a few sources that you really can rely on. They provide great information that's backed by research, that you can get your content from. Now, if you're struggling to keep up with that or to stay consistent, a little tool that I'm actually in the process of experimenting and kind of playing with a little bit myself is a tool called Feedly. So it's spelled Feedly, and it actually grabs. So, put simply, right? So instead of like saying RSS feeds and all this other stuff. So what it does is it allows you to actually choose some people or companies to follow, or things within your industry, even keywords. And what you can do is you can choose the different ones to follow, hit a couple buttons, and what Feedly will do is bring it all together on one page for you so that you can read all the updates right there. And for me, that really streamlines things so much. So I kind of create my own personalized magazine, right, to stay up to date on all things with entrepreneurship and social media. And even some personal projects that I have, some writing projects that I'm working on right now. So again, it's just a really cool tool that I use, to stay up to date on some of the industry trends. But you want to obviously just have what works for you, okay? And make sure that you add it to your weekly, and at the very least, maybe monthly routine, right, to review these sources. Ready for number
Awesome.
2?
Yeah.
Yeah, cut that short.
I thought there was more coming to that. So
no, that is it.
so again, you can see that there's different ways to stay up to date. I like reading, other people like doing stuff. So the second thing is embrace continuous learning, and this is continuous education. So what I can tell you about this is that when you become a student of the game, whether you're running your own business or you're looking to grow a business, it is very, very important to be in the know. And there's a lot of people, and I know Nancy and I feel the same way about this. There's a lot of people that actually do not like change. They do not like what's going on with AI and social media. And people kind of like, they block it out. They're like, you know what? I am not going to embrace this. This is evil. I'm not going to use it in
Like
any way,
AI.
shape, or form.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of negativity around the changes with social media, whether it's Meta or TikTok. And I'll, again, Nancy and I have our own thoughts, feelings, and best practices for using TikTok that we're actually working on right now, because we had our own views about it, but we'll get into that either in this episode or another one. But the big thing, the big premise is this: you have to embrace continuous learning, whether it's if you're interested in learning what's going on with Instagram, Brock Johnson, great person to follow. His mom, Shailene, same thing. They're always giving updates. People like to come to me to get updates on LinkedIn. There are Facebook people out there, in the world of online marketing, Amy Porterfield. So you really have to embrace continuous learning to stay on top of it, because whether people realize it or not, it's going to continue to evolve.
Absolutely. So, when it comes to continuous learning, I actually was just sharing with Scott this morning, a coach, that I really respect. And, I've been kind of following her for a while, posted something unexpectedly. And I was like, whoa, okay. And it was about her, frustration with the addition, of all these new platforms and all these new things that we've got to learn now, and, so on and so forth. Well, I think about the world of marketing, and you have got to be ever evolving, right? You've got to be able to stay up to date, because what happens is over time, right? Things evolve, the pendulum swings, right? We get market saturation, we get too many people over here, and then it's natural that this happens. So if you haven't realized it already, this is cyclical, okay? So this is going to continue to happen, okay? So you can either be one of the early adopters, the people who learn the basics, learn how to use it, be able to incorporate it into your business, or decide if it's not a good fit for your business, because you don't have to be everywhere all the time. But it's important that you do kind of put that, and I just say mindset, right? Put that mindset forward and kind of affirm that I am going to be someone that is willing and capable of learning and, doing whatever I need to do to better my business. And if that means learning new tools or new platforms or things like that, then so be it. I was looking for the book. That's why I was looking at my bookshelf. There's a book called Who Moved My Cheese? And it's a book, I actually read years ago whenever I was doing leadership training. And it's all about how, as humans, we want to stay safe. We get scared and we don't like to change, and we don't like to have to learn new things, right? That's part of our brain that keeps us protected. But in order to grow, right, we've got to get uncomfortable sometimes. So again, this one, I know it sounds so simple, but it's a big one, is to really embrace that continuous learning. And please, guys, know it's like the one wave comes up and then it goes down, and then the next one is going to be coming right around the bend. So don't sell yourself short. Don't turn that off. I want you guys to understand that, like, knowledge and learning and being able to have these platforms, right? The majority of them are all free. In fact, almost every single one of these social media platforms is free. The fact that you guys can get in front of millions of eyeballs for free, if you learn to do certain things, it's pretty damn awesome. So just keep that in mind. And then we're going to jump in now, right, to tip number 3, which is experimenting. So what I mean by experimenting is using it, getting your hands dirty. Okay. Actually diving in. So, the other day, in fact, Scott and I were both like literally on the same page without even talking to each other. I'd already downloaded Threads, right? That's one of the new ones that we're talking about now, Threads, which is part of Instagram, the whole Meta family. But I was in bed and I was, opening my Threads account and getting everything all connected. And then Scott had already done the same. And so by the time we had breakfast, Scott said, "Hey, yeah, Threads is pretty cool. I think I can actually post some stuff and then actually share it right away, to my Instagram." And so again, experiment. I think everyone right now, because that platform, for instance, is so brand new, you are getting a lot of experimentation. And it's kind of cool to look to see the other, people in your industry and other thought leaders and things like that, to see what they're posting and how they're using it.
Well, the one thing we were joking about is that we're waiting for it any day now. Someone's going to come out with some $1,000 course that teaches you how to use Threads to grow your business or something, because people are always looking to capitalize on certain things. But again, experimenting on your own is really important. So it's taking something to market, and don't be surprised. You saw this with ChatGPT, and a lot of people were using it, and now there's courses and classes on it because those individuals experimented. They experimented with the platform. They saw how it can evolve and help their business and how they were using it for content ideas and prompts. And guess what? They were probably getting traction and results in their business, which said, you know what? Let me take this to market. Let me create a course. Now, we're not saying you need to start experimenting with all of social media and create courses around it. That's just what a lot of course creators do. They're always someone that's a social media course creator, it's part of their genre, it's part of their niche. But the everyday social media user of certain applications, depending upon the platform of your choice, experiment. I'm still experimenting with LinkedIn. I'm always trying to do different things. What's getting the most organic traction? Is it my LinkedIn polls? Is it, LinkedIn lives? Is it just organic native videos that's uploaded to the platform? Is there an advantage to doing an article versus a newsletter edition, right? Should you upload documents or slide deck PDFs? You have to be, and you have to embrace not only the change of social media, but the experimentation of social media. And here's the thing. social media is not a one size fits all. Nancy will tell you, for the longest time, I was so proud of how beautiful my Instagram profile, what's the board called? You remember how I
Oh,
was going like
yeah, like the
sequentially?
actual feed, the
Yes.
look and feel
My
of your
board, my
feed.
whatever
Yeah.
whatever it's called. So I basically, I had a quote tile and then a picture and then a quote tile and then a picture because you were taught, it's got to look that way to look more professional. And Nancy said to me one day, she goes, "You just got to let go of the control," because Nancy would tag me as a collaborator in some video or a post, and I'm like, "Nance, it's a quote tile day. You got." And it just got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to let go of this and I'm going to experiment. And the experiment actually worked. Me just being just very organic and real and posting what I want, when I want, about what I want, you're going to get different results. So just like entrepreneurship, social media, it's not a one size fits all shoe. It's not a straight line. So in the beginning, you may have to throw spaghetti at the wall. You may have to try things. Some things work, some things don't work, but it's important to experiment. And that brings us to our fourth and final. And this is also going into what we believe is very important for business, and it's market research. You have to take a pulse of what's going on out there. So the fourth and final thing is check out what others in your industry are doing. Are others in your industry using specific social media platforms? Are they on Threads? Are they on TikTok? Right? Nancy, she's talked about this before in previous episodes that we've done, that one of her unassumed niches is insurance brokers and insurance brokerages. And there was a client that Nancy used to work with and I used to work with that was killing it on TikTok. And you would never think that an insurance broker would actually get traction and visibility on a platform like TikTok, because that's more of a personal thing. But you have to understand, someone has to be the trailblazer, but at the same time, you do need to look around and see what other people are doing, what's working, what's not. And again, staying up to date. And this culminates in everything that we've talked about today. So it's not only about industry updates or your niche updates or social media. You do need to pay attention to what others are doing.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing that like really broke through for me, and just to share this, right, just to kind of have a chat about this is, we, for the longest time, we didn't use TikTok. And it was actually for kind of integrity reasons. There were some things that were posted, that kids could, it was a lot of weird stuff. But, obviously they have worked through some kinks and there's been, some updates and some changes. And so lately, I've been learning a little bit more myself, right? Again, open mind about changes and different things. And, the purpose of TikTok, because you'll hear a lot of people say that, oh my gosh, TikTok is the best place to, get tons of views on your stuff. But my argument was always, well, they don't convert to good leads. Even the person that Scott mentioned, right? Yes, they were killing it on TikTok, but what does killing it mean? It just meant that they had a ton of views on their stuff. It didn't equate to sales. So I think the important thing to keep in mind there is what's the end goal of this effort and this work that we're putting into to, putting ourselves out there on a certain social media platform. And for TikTok, the way that I finally, right, warmed up to the idea of, okay, this is worth my time is having a TikTok account where, yes, you get the views. Okay. You get all kinds of people looking, liking, and, checking you out, but having the ability to actually invite those people off of that platform to another platform, where you're going to kind of take them through a funnel where, okay, yes, the majority of people are up here in TikTok, but they're not necessarily qualified leads, but you're actually leading the people who care and are like, oh, this is great for me. I want to learn more about Nancy and her business and so on and so forth. And leading them somewhere like maybe Instagram or Facebook group, or maybe joining you on a different platform, maybe on YouTube or LinkedIn. And the whole purpose of that is TikTok is not really a site for engaging back and forth, right? You're not messaging, you're not doing a lot of that. There's some of that, But some of these other platforms, such as Instagram and Facebook groups, just to give the example, that's a way where you can really nurture and form community and connection with people. So that's definitely how I'm going to be using TikTok now that we're like, all right, it's go time. Let's kind of lean into some of these different ones. But again, I think it's important to know why you're using them and having goals, for the platforms that you do select.
We wanted to finish with one quick announcement. As we always do, Nancy and I are always running workshops multiple times a year. And it actually, with all the changes to social media, staying up to date with content, getting your voice, getting your message out there in a streamlined way, it was the perfect time for us to say, you know what, let's do another content creation workshop. It's completely free. It is going to be the last week of July. It is from Monday, July 24th through Thursday, July 27th. There's going to be 3 days of training, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then there is a bonus Q&A day that Thursday. Now, the only big change that we made is that these are all lunch and learn sessions now. So it's from 1 to 2 p.m. EDT, live and recorded. The replays will be available to watch back that Sunday. So if you are interested in registering for this free workshop, you get a workbook. There's going to be private Facebook group access. We're going to give out a ton of prizes, as we always do. Go to the description of this podcast episode and click on that link to register. So again, thank you everyone for tuning into today's episode. Love and gratitude, and we'll talk to everyone next time. Bye, everyone. Bye. Thank you so much again for checking out today's episode. And if you are listening through iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are, please leave me a rating and review. Let me know what you loved, what you would like to see improved, or ideas you have for future episodes. And if you are interested in taking your business to the next level, don't hesitate to go to my website, www.scottaaron.net, where you can schedule a free discovery call with me, where I can learn more about you, your business, what you're struggling with, and how we can work together. And don't forget to check out my wife, Nancy, and mine, our free community on Facebook called LinkedIn Leads for Life. We would love to see you in there. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you everyone for your support. Grateful for each and every one of you.